with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that we welcome you tonight.
And we invite you to relax.
Let us put up a chair.
As we proudly present. Oh!
Hello and welcome to The Review. My name is Tara Newton-Wordsworth and today we're interviewing Emma Taylor, who is the Artistic Director of the Canal Cafe Theatre. She's also the producer of News Review, which is a very famous and long-running comedy sketch show in Little Venice. I say this looking confused, but I have actually been in the show. So we're exceptionally grateful to have you with us today, Emma. Thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, I'd love to ask you, how do you manage to multitask so many different things? You're a director, you're a producer, you're an actress, you're a mum. How do you do it?
I think you have to enjoy what you do, and if you enjoy what you do, then you make things work, and you need help as well. So I have a very supportive husband, a great team of colleagues at the Canal Cafe Theatre, a great school, local school. They have an after-school centre which helps, so yeah, that's how I get by really.
Amazing. And you started out, you were doing teaching, and you've also you started a drama school. How have you kind of gone from doing that into working full-time in the arts?
Well, I always wanted to be an actress from a very young age, and I did the rounds of drama schools. I was offered a place at RADA just to see if I could get in, and I didn't go. I went to Liverpool University instead to do French and drama. And after that I set up a TIE, a Theatre and Education Company, a French-speaking one, and we toured for a year in the UK doing Sartre's Huis Clos, which, even back then I produced, directed and gave myself a lead role, so the seeds were sown early on. I did that for a year, then I got a teaching job back in Leicestershire, where I'm from originally, and I'd planned to only do that for a year. But I really enjoyed it, and then the head teacher gave me a drama teaching post as well, and then made me head of drama, and I found myself staying there for 4 years, which then I realised if I didn't leave at that point I probably never would. So I eventually did move to London after 4 years, retrained as a professional actress and director, and on graduating I founded the Norwich Drama School with the Norwich Agency, which is a leading children's talent agency. So that was on I suppose on a stagecoach type model, but it was much more bespoke. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, after about 2 years of working at setting up the school and being a jobbing actress as well at the same time, the post for artistic director was advertised in the stage. So I applied, not thinking I'd get it, but I did. And that was 14 years ago, so yeah.
Amazing, and really you've taken News Review to a new level. It's a show that gets 5-star reviews every year at Edinburgh. How do you feel about having taken on that role and what you've done to make a difference with the show?
News Review is the in-house show at the Canal Cafe Theatre, and I was just incredibly inspired by the model that had already been put in place, and Professor Mike Hodd created News Review back in 1979, and it was actually born, as it were, in Edinburgh. And I think what I did was, I fell in love with Canal Cafe Theatre and News Review and never really wanted to leave. So I think it's really just because I've stayed, there's been a steady presence. And going up to Edinburgh, I realised how we could make the show more popular in a sense. It's really just through marketing and making sure that we have the most talented people around, and building up the reputation year on year. And never resting on our laurels. So that's really why, I think.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people go into the arts and then, get discouraged. How do you feel, it's something that you have to keep going with? Have you found at times you've just felt like, I don't want to be involved in this anymore, or do you feel a constant passion? Like, what would you say your relationship is with the arts?
It's a mix. I think sometimes it can be very difficult, and especially when you're in a rehearsal room and everything's going wrong, you just want to give up and think, I'm just going to work in a bank. But you have that thought for about 10 minutes, maybe 24 hours max, and then the next day you just realise how grateful you are really to be doing this. And that's why I've carried on. I think I'm very good at making my own work. I can't imagine not working, and I can't imagine just relying on an agent to do things for me, which is why I think I wear so many different hats, but also because I enjoy them all. If that's possibly been a drawback, because sometimes I think it is important to make a decision, and just because you can do lots of things doesn't mean you should. But I think as well, being a working mum, it's also helped because, especially from focusing more on producing and directing, while Amelie was younger, was a lot easier than being on stage every night. So, yeah, you just sort of weigh the pros and the cons up and just see where you're at in the rest of your life.
Yeah. Speaking of Amelie, and you're married, you have a child. Do you think having a family is an important part of I guess if you're an artist, to have that as something else besides what you're doing? Do you feel that supports you as well?
Absolutely. I always say that the biggest triumph in my life really is my daughter. Because I've had a lot of professional successes which you get an incredible buzz and high from, but nothing beats being a parent, in my opinion. So.
That is beautiful. And she's gorgeous. But so one thing, you mentioned the thing about agents getting you work. What would you say, have you had many agents, and what would you say your relationships with is like with them?
I've had various different agents over the years, and at the moment I think because I took a break from acting and I'm pursuing possibly joining a co-op at the moment, which would be something new for me. I think agents can be very important, but I think too often actors rely too heavily on them, and I think by and large they are trying to do their best in a extremely saturated industry. And from friends who are agents, what I've heard is that they're very busy actually trying to get their big name clients the work, and it's hard enough getting work for them, let alone people who are just coming into the industry, and what I suppose one might call regular jobbing actors. So it's I think they get a tough a tough time sometimes.
Well, just one last thing that I'd love to ask you is, what would you say to people who are starting out in the industry as a kind of word of encouragement about how to go about it, really?
Well, if it's really what you want to do, which presumably if you've spent 3 or 4 years of your life and yours or your parents' money pursuing this, then you really do have to stick with it. My motto is, I think Churchill did say it, never, 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 never give up. So yeah, if you really believe in it and you're very passionate, then just stick with it, and eventually, just through laws of probability, something will happen.
Well, thank you so much, Emma. I'm so grateful to have had you on the show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week with the next episode.
Like a sound you hear that lingers in your ear, but you can't forget from sundown to sun.